What is up, Splashers? If you're watching this and you are familiar with our streams, then you will recognize this room as my personal stream room. And I've gotten a lot of questions about what some of this stuff behind me is, what does the setup look like, so I'm going to show you today. Now, this is not going to be a setup video, this is just going to be a stream room tour. I'll go into more details about the actual setup, like technical stuff, in another video. But I will go ahead and show you what's going on, so stay tuned and let's take a look. We're going to have the lights on for the rest of the video so that I can actually show you guys everything that's going on here in the room. And we're going to start right here at the door. Probably see this hanging on the door in every live stream. This is actually a system and it says recording/streaming in progress. And basically the idea was that when I go live, I flip this over the door. Flip this over the door. Close it. Boom. Next, we have like the main wall. So this is like the big focal point behind me. This is basically my backdrop. Most of this is a collection of artwork either done by myself or from artists that I met at Comic-Con. There's a lot of White Tiger stuff in the room, and this is because one, it's my favorite animal, and two, we actually make films. We actually we have another channel called White Tiger Films where we make movies and like cinematic stuff.
Do you want to elaborate? I know science.
I'm not trying to cross promote, but you know what? Why not?
We are not getting anywhere fast. This keeps up, the little pus bucket won't have anything left to haunt. You got some snot on your face.
And most of the other stuff is just old toys and collectibles that I've kept along the way. As I mentioned before, I go to Comic-Con a lot, so a lot of these, most of these are Comic-Con purchases. Complete with Ecto 1 and the keys from Ready Player One. Moving on. Back in the day, me and the guys were on a TV show called Viva La Cosplay.
This is Viva La Cosplay.
Go! 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 Viva La Cosplay!
We were really big in the cosplay scene. These are some of my cosplay creations that I still have sitting around. This was the head of a giant Megazord that I had made. Maybe I can throw a picture on the screen. Yeah, so this is the only remaining piece of that costume I have left. Over here is, of course, Leonardo's head. Let's get a picture of that costume. He's actually wearing the PlayStation hat, and I actually wear this on most streams. This is like the streaming hat, and I'm not wearing it. I usually set it right there on Leo's head. And then here we have Bucky O'Hare, which a lot of you probably won't recognize or know who that character is. He's kind of like Star-Lord, the bunny version. Over here you can see we have more collectibles and autographed posters from Bill and Ted and Breakfast Club. This right here is one of my favorite figures of Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is my favorite comic book character of all time, which is why my gamer tag is the Doombot87. Yeah, Predator's mask from Alien vs. Predator. Now, over here is actually a part of the room that I try not to show on stream because this area tends to get a little bit messy because it's actually my art area. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm really big into art, pretty much always working on some sort of art piece. In addition to all the streaming, I know, how does he do it and make these movies and stuff? How does he do it? I don't know. I don't really sleep that much. And also, this is where I hide all the junk food. But as you're about to see, there's a lot of other cool stuff on the wall back here. I am a huge, huge, huge Doctor Who fan, and I had the pleasure of meeting Billie Piper. I gave her a hug and told her she made me cry. This right here is an 89 Michael Keaton 12-inch Batman figure. I have had this pretty much my whole life. Okay, last thing before we jump over to the setup. The swords. You don't see them much on stream, but let's look at them real quick. I have 6 swords on display in this room. The first I call the Leonardo sword, which is really just a blue, pretty cheap katana. As you can see, the handle's pretty dirty. This is the sword I take outside and just like whack trees and stuff with. I don't really care too much about the blade. This is the one I just kind of have fun with, but it's up there and it hangs over the Ninja Turtles. The next two are movie replicas. The one on the top is actually Bill's sword from Kill Bill, and the one on the bottom is famously the Highlander sword, but this is from the TV show, not the movie. Don't get it confused, they are two different swords. This is actually my favorite sword in my collection. It's a Roman gladius sword. It's my favorite type of sword. I've been in love with this style of weapon ever since I first saw Gladiator. My secondary camera is actually mounted to the same thing that's holding that sword up, and that USB cable actually runs all the way across the wall to the corner, over top of the window, and then down into the setup. The last two swords are my only real battle ready swords. These are not replicas, these are the real deal. Folded steel, ready for the zombie apocalypse. These are the ones I'm grabbing when the end of the world comes. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the actual setup. Now, as I said before, this is not going to be a technical explanation of the setup. That's going to be an entire video on its own. But let's just go ahead and do an overview. Let's just take a look. First things first, I don't have an expensive anything. Nothing you see here is going to be the top of the line, most expensive thing on the internet. Everything you see here is going to be something you could probably get on Amazon for a fraction of the price that the pros are paying. For a fraction of the price that the pros are playing. Praying? For a fraction of the price that the pros are paying. God. So most of our viewers know that I'm not a PC streamer. I strictly stream console right now. So I have a 2-computer setup, computer number 1 and computer number 2. Both of these are refurbished office computers. If we're just talking running OBS, is really all you need to do if you're going to be streaming from console. I do recommend the 16 gig RAM. Windows 7 is about to be expired. It's like 10 years old. So if it's like newer than that, you know, you're probably got like the bare minimum to get started if you want to stream with a capture card. So I don't even rock a PlayStation Pro. This is a PlayStation Slim. Seen our streams, would you know? Would you be able to tell? I don't think that you would. Pretty crazy how I have it all set up. And like I said, that's going to be in its own separate video. So the monitor on the left is always the computer that's running OBS. In the middle, obviously, I have my gameplay. Over here, this is a secondary computer. That's it makes it a little bit easier so that I can read comments. That way I don't have to mess with this computer too much. Here, there's 3 different types of keyboards. This right here is a Logitech Bluetooth keyboard. This actually connects directly to the PlayStation. This keyboard actually controls this computer and this computer, but not at the same time. This mouse and keyboard are on the same Bluetooth USB connection. I actually have a toggle button here. As you can see, I have it marked right or left. So right now it's on left, so that means my mouse is working over here. La-di-da. But we hit this button. Same mouse. Look where we're at now, we're over here. So this right here is half a keyboard. Most people would just use it as like one-hand gaming keyboard. I actually use this instead of an Elgato Stream Deck. A lot of people have a Stream Deck where they can hit buttons and it controls their stream and switches scenes and stuff like that. So I just have all my streams hotkeyed and I can hit things like this. As you can see, it changes. Or I can go here, and here we go. Alright, next up we have this 3 crazy microphone. Why am I using this instead of that beautiful baby right there? Well, honestly, that beautiful baby right there is almost $100 and doesn't sound nearly as good as these, which were $30 each. They are also labeled. This is my stream mic, so this goes to my streaming PC, and this is party chat, and this actually gets connected to the PlayStation itself. I typically use the Turtle Beach Stealth 600s, and those are not connected to my PlayStation in any way. That is actually hooked to my main PC, and the audio from the PlayStation is fed through the PC to the headphones. Therefore, a need for a microphone to be hooked to the PlayStation is necessary. Also, I like these microphones because they have a quick mute button. If I am streaming on Twitch and Jesse is streaming on Facebook and I want to say something to Twitch but not Facebook, I can simply hit this button and I can keep talking to Twitch or say something on Jesse's stream that I didn't want to say on Twitch or my own stream for whatever reason. I would hit this button and just activate one or the other. They also each have their own microphone sensitivity control, which I really like. This was a jewelry display. I put weights in the bottom of it, spray painted it black, boom. Now it's a headset stand. Okay, let's just go back to audio for a second because I want to explain this gadget to the left of my keyboard. Okay, as I explained before, I have 3 different media devices. That's 2 PCs and 1 PlayStation, all of which have their own audio outputs, okay? But the Turtle Beach Stealth 600s only have the capability of listening to 1 device. It's not like you can just hook 3 devices up to 1 set of headphones, except that you totally can, and let me show you how. This is a 3-way component splitter switch. So this input is my first PC, the middle one is the PlayStation, and this one right here is the audio from the other PC. They both run to this component, which leads to this USB component to digital converter and dongle. This then gets fed straight to the Turtle Beach transmitter. So with that little rigmarole, I can hear whichever media device I choose. So just behind my main monitor, I have a tripod and the camera set up. This is my main camera that I'm using right now, in addition to the backup camera that I showed you earlier that's way up there in the corner in the back of my room. And then we have a LED light right here that I can click on and off using the white wall as a natural light bounce to get the softer light on my face. Here we have a beautiful picture of Princess Leia. She watches every stream like a true Splash Damage fan. And right below the princess, we have our VR setup mounted to the wall. And here we have hanging a charger with every cable imaginable for any device that I would have. My devices just do not die. Under the desk we have a backup controller charging cable. This is in case my controller ever gives out on me. And then this right here, this is actually extra audio outputs. So again, like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail on how that works, but just know that the way that is set up makes it possible to have 3 different people each have headsets on 1 PlayStation. Up here is my controller collection. Front and center we have the DualShock 4 PlayStation controller, slightly modified. Behind it we have the SCUF controller, which I'm currently trying to get this thing working again. It just has an issue with the cord slipping out. If I can figure out a way around that, this is actually a superior controller. And then I have my Nintendo 64 USB controller. This is for Nintendo 64 emulation. Next to that on the left is a PlayStation style PC controller, and right behind that, if I can get this to focus, and this is a Sega Genesis USB PC controller, also for emulation. Alright guys, that just about covers it for today's video. I've given you a wall-to-wall coverage. You've seen all the nerdy shit in my room. I've given you a basic rundown of the setup, and there's just one last thing I want to tell you about, and those are those lights that we showed you at the beginning of the video. Guys, every single one of them came from Five Below, cost me basically nothing. They all come with this easy-to-use remote. You can juice up your stream all you want, give it some juice, just hit the button, boom goes the dynamite. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Ah! Ah! Ah!